Hello, and today I'm going to teach you how to play Sun Wukong, the build I personally use, and hit you with some nice tips and tricks. Now make sure you stay tuned to the end of this video because I'm going to give you the ultimate tip with Sun Wukong that you need to know in order to be the greatest monkey out there, the greatest trickster overall. So with that being said, we're going to start off with his traits. And we're going to start off with his first trait, which is his divine trait, Charge Transformations. Activating 72 transformations grant 8% ultimate charge. Successfully hitting a target out of an animal form grants an additional 8% ultimate charge. Now this is perfect to ensure your clone can get back as soon as possible. Obviously, a lot has changed since the last big patch of Divine Knockout, so with this, you're now going to have something available to you to ensure you have Carl the clone up at most times, so you can either use him to kite around, switch with him, or whatever you need your clone to do. Now we're going to go into the minor traits. Strength in numbers is the first minor trait you're going to use, so you and your monkey clone have 25% knockback resistance while he is active. Trust me, this is something that you really need with Sun Wukong. Without this, your resistance to knockback is very low compared to other characters. So once you have your clone out on the field, that allows you to survive longer, also enabling you to probably get some nice 1v2s going on, even if you're high vulnerability. The next minor trait we're going to go with is called Early Strikes. If Dashing Strike ends before the final spin attack, your next light, heavy, or aerial attack deals an additional 5 damage. This buff lasts for 4 seconds. Now this is extremely important, especially for that major tip I was going to tell you at the end of the video. With this, you're going to be able to pump out massive damage with your monkey, and you're going to be making your opponents feel like, what is happening to me? Why is my vulnerability so high? Next up, for the last minor trait, we're going to use Monkey C. Your monkey clone can now perform Magic Cudgel. This is obviously important. You need Carl the clone to be able to do some nice attacks. It used to be very overpowered. Since now he can't really use dashing strikes, he's okay. He's decent. Sun Wukong did take a big hit in nerf since the Blazing Bifrost update, but that's okay. He's still pretty decent. Now we're going to go on to the Greater Blessings. For Greater Blessings, I'm going to give you two options here. I literally switch between these two all the time, and the first one's going to be Saul's Temper. Deal an additional 15% damage to the last enemy that knocked you out in a round, or deal an additional 10% damage if you have not been knocked out yet in a round, because my build currently is to balance off my clone being able to come out a little faster, as well as just dishing out enough damage with Sun Wukong that I can eliminate people out a lot easier. Now, with that being said, the next Greater Blessing I use is Thor's Landing. Damaging an enemy with your first ability reduces its cooldown by 4 seconds. Now this is great. Once you're able to land your mobility on your enemies with charge transformations, both of these coupled allow you to bring up Carl the Clone a lot faster than you would without it. Now another thing to note, Sun Wukong has one of the most diverse mobilities in the game, since you can become a tiger, pounce on them, and stun them, or you can simply go into your bird form, which will allow you to get super speed right there and hit them out, which can allow you to eliminate them early in the matchup, or allow you to maneuver around properly to avoid damage. Now, with that being said, we're going to go into my favorite part of the video, which is going to be the tips and tricks. So the first thing we're going to talk about again is obviously going to be the mobility. You really need to learn how to control the tiger form properly, because if you don't use it, you may fall straight off the edge because it has kind of wonky warping. And if you fall off the edge, trust me, there's nothing you can do about it. Another thing to note with this, since you have bird form, controlling this is a lot easier than the tiger form in my opinion. And since you're able to get a stun once you reactivate this and land it on your enemy, it's going to give you a powerful technique to engage and allow you to get combos off as Sun Wukong. Now with his Magic Cudgel, this is very interesting. The tip I have for you here is pretty simple. When you use it, note that if your enemy is waiting for it, which they probably are most of the time, they're going to be easily able to dodge through, and once they dodge through, let me tell you, they're going to be able to do some damage on you and punish you, because after using that Magic Cudgel, you're kind of used to this for like a millisecond, just like with Amaterasu and her Heavenly Strike. No, with another thing I want to mention with this, if you hit people in that execute range or the crit range of your Magic Cudgel, if they're high enough vulnerability, you're guaranteed to get a knockout, I would say 8 out of 10 times. Another thing we're going to touch on with Sun Wukong is his dashing strikes, and this is the secret I want to talk about. With your dashing strikes, now you have two ways you can use this. You can use it where you go with the full 3 dashes, or you can do it if you want to maximize damage, use 1 dash, 2 dash, instantly hit your light attacks, which will cancel your last dash, activating your minor trait Early Strikes, which now adds 5 extra damage to your light attacks, and you will be able to do extra massive damage with those light attacks. You're simply canceling your rotation. As you can see here, I've been showing it on screen so you can kind of get a gist of it. However, there are certain scenarios where this is not the best option, and going for the 3 rotations is better, as with the 3rd rotation, you can use this as kind of a guard, a gate guard, as I would say. So you can use it to come around, kite around, and nobody's really going to touch you while you're spinning around. Now, if you're going up against a really good player, and I know I love to do this against the Sun Wukong, you can literally use a basic light attack as an enemy on a Wukong when they're in dashing strikes, and it instantly cancels it if you time it right. So keep that in mind. You do not want to miss your dashing strikes. Ensure you at least hit the first hit so you can take up your enemy and they won't be able to escape, whichever method you choose to go. Now we're going to go into his air light and his air heavy attacks. Now these are very powerful. I would say it does a very good amount of damage and it's fast paced. The thing that worries me with his air light and air heavy, his air heavy has a tendency to bug out sometimes as well as his air light. So you need to keep that in mind. Now it doesn't always happen, but let me tell you, you are also able to get some nice distance, some nice damage off. His hold heavy attack has a massive range. So learning how to use that as you extend your staff is perfect. Now we're going to go on to his ultimate, which is his Carl clone. His clone. I call it Carl because I think it's funny. Now, once you have your clone out, there are so many different ways you can use this. Learning to switch with your clone is vital for certain circumstances, especially if you want to kite around and get yourself back on the map, or just keep your opponents entertained while you're trying to get your composure and cooldowns up. Sometimes if you knock your opponent out fast enough, you can switch clones, they won't notice, and then they will be thrown off so heavily you can easily knock them out of the map. Now these are all the tips I really have for you with Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong is such a diverse character in the Vine knockout. He's no longer as OP as a lot of people thought he was. He has been reduced in massive power since the last patch, which is the Bifrost update, so keep that in mind. I hope this guide comes out to help you. If there's any other things you would like to know, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I will try my best to explain it, as this guide is really to give you beginners out there a good idea of how to play and what to do and what you should be aware of when playing Sun Wukong. Also note one last thing here, Sun Wukong is one of the best looking characters in the game, except for his skin in the store. I really dislike that skin. Alright, that's all for you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.